World of Warcraft is a game that I've had a very mixed relationship with over the years. Sometimes I love it and other times I hate it, but despite this, there's always something that manages to pull me back into the game after I've stopped playing for a long time. Initially I started out my YouTube career as just a WoW channel, but throughout the course of Warlords of Draenor, I lost a lot of passion for the game and eventually stopped playing it and made much less WoW content, instead focusing on trying out different games. Until very recently I hadn't really thought about WoW that much and I wasn't overly hyped for Legion, until a few days ago when I decided to listen to a few pieces of music from the World of Warcraft soundtrack. I think the first piece I listened to was the Elwyn Forest music, and it instantly took me back to the time when I first started playing WoW and was a complete noob exploring everything for the first time and just being amazed at how huge the world was. Since then, the thought of playing WoW has been an itch in the back of my mind, and I no longer feel the same burnout I had for the game a few months ago when I decided to quit. If anything, all of the crappy MMOs I've tried since quitting makes the thought of playing WoW again not too bad at all. I mean, at least with World of Warcraft you get a fully fleshed out world with a ton of lore, a business model that doesn't really affect gameplay, and a decent level of overall polish even if the amount of endgame content is currently lacking. Despite my change of attitude towards WoW though, I've decided it's best I don't resubscribe to the game until Legion comes out, because the last thing I want to do is get burnt out and quit again for the same reasons as last time before the new expansion launches. I've also had a lot of people ask me to make more Legion beta videos. I thought about it and ultimately decided that I don't want to ruin the expansion for myself before it even starts. My favourite time to play WoW is during the launch of a new expansion. I just like the excitement of leveling up for the first time, gearing up through dungeons, and just being hyped to experience all the new stuff the expansion offers. If I went into the Legion beta and leveled to 110 and saw most of the quest lines, it'd kinda take away from the enjoyment I'll get when the game's actually released. So far I've only done a few artifact quests and ran around a few zones for a bit. I don't really want to do much more than that for now. After doing a bit of reflecting about my time in World of Warcraft, I've decided that I need to approach the game with a different mindset. Previously when I played WoW, I pretty much exclusively played WoW and nothing else. I had the expectation that WoW was the only game I needed, and when I found myself getting bored and running out of exciting things to do, I'd get frustrated with the game when really I should have just accepted that I'd seen the content and moved on to other games whilst waiting for new content to be released. I think this expectation of only playing WoW came from experiences in previous expansions where it took longer to level and progress through content, and therefore you felt as if you could only play WoW if you wanted. I think from the launch of Legion going forward, I'll just subscribe to the game to see the new content, clear the current raid tier on Heroic, do some casual PvP and questing before unsubscribing before I hit that point of extreme burnout. I'm kind of at the point where I'm tired of complaining about WoW. I've accepted that I'll probably never feel the same about it as I used to, but that's the same with pretty much anything. And although I genuinely believe the game was at its strongest in Wrath of the Lich King, it's still better than most other MMORPGs you see released today. Just in case a few of you are confused though, this doesn't mean I'm going back to making regular WoW content. I'll probably make a WoW video every now and again, with them being more frequent at the start of an expansion or patch, but I do not want to go back to being a WoW channel. I think one reason I started to dislike WoW was that I used to feel pressured to make WoW content even if there wasn't much to talk about, since YouTube's my full-time job. And at first when I started to cover other games, I'd get people talking shit in the comments for making a video that wasn't about WoW, which really pissed me off. Even today I still get people doing this, but it's much less now, so I don't really care. When it comes to Legion though, I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is getting back into raiding. I've said it many times in the past, but I think one thing Blizzard consistently do well is design some damn good raids. I did prefer the days where we had less raid difficulties, and I'd rather LFR didn't exist because I think it's bad for the game overall, but regardless I'm still going to clear the raids in Legion on Heroic and maybe dabble in a bit of Mythic if I'm in a decent guild. Another thing I'm actually looking forward to is questing through the Legion zones, seeing the new stories that have been created, and just exploring the world. I logged into the Legion beta quite recently just to run around for a bit, and I was surprised just how good some places on the Broken Isles look considering how old the game is. The Druid class order halls, for example, look absolutely beautiful, and I felt immersed from just being there. I think the art team at Blizzard have done some really good work over the past few years to stop the game from looking too outdated. Another thing Blizzard have done is update a lot of the combat animations, which which also does a good job in helping the combat feel less stale. For the most part, I do find that tab targeting gets quite boring, but it's not as bad in WoW in comparison to other MMOs I've played because the global cooldown is quite short, the animations are solid, the sound effects are impactful, and the combat system feels like it just suits the game, which I feel is really important. That being said, there's a few things that do concern me about WoW Legion, the main thing being how gearing up in PvP is going to be done entirely through RNG loot boxes. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of RNG, and I know it's not going to be too much of a big deal due to how stats will be normalized to a certain point, but regardless, it concerns me that Blizzard have completely ignored the community in this aspect. I think the vast majority of WoW players dislike RNG gear, whether it's Warforged gear, sockets, or random stats. It seems like there's a bit of a disconnect between what Blizzard thinks is a rewarding way of gearing and what players want. The two other things that really bother me about Legion is the numbers, which seem fucking crazy. I can deal with that by just turning them off though, and the cringeworthy dialogue in the questing where my character and every other character is the chosen saviour of Azeroth. Hopefully these things shouldn't prevent me from having fun in raiding or doing PvP though. I think after trying so many different MMOs and taking some time to think about why I come back to World of Warcraft time and time again, I've come to realise a few things. The first thing being that nostalgia is an incredibly powerful thing and it's stronger in WoW than any other game I've played. There's so many nostalgia triggers in World of Warcraft, from the soundtrack, in-game locations, item sets, lore characters, and even seeing memes like Leroy Jenkins online. These things alone can make players who have long quit the game think about the good memories they've had in WoW and want to resubscribe to revisit that nostalgia and try and capture those feelings again, even if the game isn't what it used to be. Nostalgia's a bit of a bitch really. When looking back on things, you only remember the good times and forget about all the bad stuff. Like for me, someone who's not even playing WoW at the moment, I can even look back on Warlords of Draenor, and the main things that come to mind was the excitement I felt as the servers came up to launch the expansion, getting ahead of the curve in Highmaul and feeling that rush of excitement from downing a boss for the first time, having fun with friends doing PvP and doing level 1 raids on my stream. My brain purposely ignores the stuff I hated, such as Ashran, sitting in my garrison all day and not being able to play my character for 3 days due to so many phasing issues at launch. With other MMOs though, I don't feel the same nostalgia. I haven't felt invested into the worlds they're set in, and I don't have many good memories playing with friends in those games because they usually quit within a few weeks of playing. A good analogy would be WoW is like a long-term relationship. In the beginning you're in love and can't bear to be apart, but over the years you change and she changes, but you still care about each other due to all the good memories you've had. As time goes on, you start to get bored, and WoW does some things you don't agree with, so you say fuck this and decide to take a break and try a new MMO. At first it's exciting and it feels good to try new things until you level up a bit and realise this MMO has a shit personality. All it wants to do is take your money at every opportunity it gets. It's a bit of a gold digger, so you quit and try another one that's a bit more similar to WoW. Initially you feel familiar because you already know the controls and you have a good idea how the game will play out, but eventually you realise it's not very well polished. It's basically WoW but without the story you're already invested in. So you move on to the brand new shiny MMO that's just came out with the amazing graphics and the action combat. But there's only one problem: it's Korean, and deep down you know that you both want different things, so you return to WoW and give her another chance, because despite her changes, you've got years of history together, you know her backstory, all your friends know her, and you feel like she can work out her issues and get back to being the MMO you used to love. I know that's probably the worst analogy I've ever given in a video, but it's the best I can come up with right now, so deal with it. Another thing I've come to realise is that the gaming industry is changing, and my biggest concern every time a new MMO comes out is, damn, I hope this game doesn't turn into a pay-to-win cash grab, which kinda says a lot about MMOs that have been released in recent years. As much as Blizzard like to milk the player base every now and again, it doesn't affect me personally. They'll just throw out a store mount and raise game prices, which is a bit frustrating considering it's a subscription-based game, but at least I don't have to worry about it turning into Arcade or something. The final thing I've realised about WoW and MMOs in general is that when a game's made to keep people playing as long as possible, those people will become extremely attached to that game and turn into what I'd describe as fanboys that have completely lost the ability to be objective and can't accept any critique towards their game. WoW has them, Black Desert has a ton of them, Guild Wars has them, basically every MMO has them. However, due to the amount of people that have played WoW and how long the game's been around for, you're dealing with well over 1 million die-hard fans that have invested so much time into the game that they'll never leave. and therefore I don't think that WoW will die anytime within the next 6 years until they eventually decide to make a sequel, because there's enough mega fans that will play regardless of how good the new content is. But just to summarise this video, I'm no longer burnt out with World of Warcraft. I'm not going to play the game or make much WoW content until Legion comes out because I don't want to get bored of Warlords again. I'm not going to go back to being a WoW channel, and I'm a lot more excited for Legion now because I miss raiding and being part of a world I'm already invested in comparison to trying other MMOs and feeling like I'm just visiting rather than getting invested into their worlds. And I'm kind of concerned about the RNG gearing, stupid damage numbers, and the cringy dialogue referring to my poorly geared shaman as the chosen defender of Azeroth in WoW Legion. But none of that should stop me from enjoying raids or PvP, so I don't really care too much. So that's it for this video, guys. Feel free to let me know your feelings towards World of Warcraft in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video then please hit the like button as it always helps. I hope you enjoyed the video. You take it easy and I'll see you again really soon. There's a player over here. Let's see if I can attack him. Oh, I'm doing PvP, I think. Fuck. Oh my god, what level is he? I have no idea. Fucking kite for days. Get wrecked, dude.